All right, welcome into another day in our daily Devos in the Psalms. Pastor Rick here, ready to dive into another chapter and see what we have to learn and grow in today. I'm excited. I love it. And so here we go. We're just going to jump straight in. So verse 1, God save me. Well, let's go ahead and read the introduction. I think it's always good. So prayer for deliverance. And then for the choir director with stringed instruments, a maskil of David. When the Ziphites went and said to Saul, David, is David not hiding among us? So they were trying to turn him in, and so David is praying for some deliverance against Saul and all of his pursuits, and that's a really crazy journey throughout the book of towards the end of 1 Samuel. It's definitely worth a read, if you want to go check it out and kind of see what was going on in David's life as he was writing some of these Psalms. So here we go. Verse 1, God, save me by your name and vindicate me by your might. His name and his might. God, hear my prayer. Listen to the words from my mouth. For strangers rise up against me, and violent men intend to kill me. They do not let God guide them. And so this is like referring to people, like strangers would be kind of a terminology for people outside of their covenant community, so non-Israelites. And so he's saying these strangers are rising up against him, and violent men intend to kill him. They don't let God guide them. So that's kind of the would be equivalent to the definition of the wicked in a lot of other places in the Psalms and in Proverbs. Essentially just disregarding what God has to say, not wanting to pay attention to what God has to say. So save me by your name and vindicate me by your might. God, hear my prayer and listen. I just love that cry, that request to God. And then here is verse 4 says, God is my helper. The Lord is the sustainer of my life. I feel like that one's worth a highlight today, just to kind of something to focus on, something to meditate on today. God is my helper. The Lord is the sustainer of my life. It's like every breath you breathe is a gift from God. And so understanding that the very fact that you are alive demonstrates the fact that God's hand is upon you. That's pretty cool, I mean, when you're following him, like just the fact that you're alive means there's something that God's got in store for you. He's not done with you. So he will repay my adversaries for their evil name. He will repay my adversaries for their evil. Because of your faithfulness, annihilate them. Just take care of all these people that are trying to do such evil to me. And again, I like the fact that he's putting justice and putting retribution and revenge and all these things into God's hands and saying, Lord, you take care of it because you're just and you're faithful. Because of your faithfulness, he's saying, annihilate them, saying like, man, their bucket of evil is full and overflowing, like I think they've reached the limit, but at the same time he's leaving it in God's hands, because he knows that God is the one that measures, when their bucket is really full and overflowing. Just because I think it's full and overflowing doesn't mean it actually is. I might not have the best perspective, perhaps. So verse 6, I will sacrifice a free will offering to you. I will praise your name, Lord, because it is good. The free will offering is, as the name would suggest, there were no vows involved. There was no obligation. There was no requirement for this offering. So this one is done completely of a person's free will, just to honor God, just to focus their hearts on God and to praise and worship his name. And I just love this declaration, that I will praise your name, Lord, because it is good. Again, just a great, God's my helper. He sustains my life. I praise his name because his name is good. His name is good. For he has rescued me from every trouble, and my eye has looked down on my enemies. And that's a great perspective, to be able to do that. The evil forces that are out to derail you. For he has rescued me from every trouble. And I think that this is a great, like, looking back kind of a statement, but I also think that this is a great kind of faith-filled statement in a sense where, have you ever had one of those situations in your life where something, some trouble had happened and it's not necessarily completely resolved, completely gone, but you're just trusting that, you know what, God said that he's going to work all things together for good. And so I know that he's going to do that. And so I'm believing, God, that you have rescued me from that trouble, and even when it doesn't completely look completed, it doesn't look completely resolved or whatever, that we can, center our hearts and our focus and our faith on the fact that God is good. His name is good. Praise his name, Lord. I'll praise your name, Lord, because it is good. So he's your helper. He's your sustainer. He is good. He's faithful, because of his faithfulness. He will repay your adversaries for their evil. So even though it looks like they're succeeding, don't give up. Don't lash out, and don't freak out, because sometimes we get ourselves in trouble when we try to take the justice into our own hands. Am I right? So let's try to leave the justice into God's hands. Let's trust him again, because his name is good. Praise his name because he is good. Trust him because of his faithfulness. And so he's our helper, our sustainer, and his name is good, and he's faithful. All right. Have a great day. Hope you have just a great time journaling some of these thoughts, and just, again, growing in your relationship with the Lord by knowing him better. And have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.